that has people doing various activities on it. And I think that that has increased his power in the
Oh my god, you're right. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
It's definitely very, very cool. As we hop into pick and ban, I'm sorry for the distraction.
No, it's all right. As we will see a Karma ban this time around. That one's not going through. Not going to let that one come up. As see what else changes in this draft, because definitely don't want the Hecarim to be a thing, but usually that's a red side choice. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see where KT are going to push this.
I wouldn't mind them gunning for like an Ahri first pick or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they played around the Ahri very well into T1, even if they lost.
Yeah, I agree. And then you could go for an Ahri Kai'Sa type composition again. We'll see how they decide to play it out. As I think an Ahri ban makes sense here actually for HLE Esports as well. But they might just ban the Jinx, because if Aiming gets his hands on first pick Jinx, you feel really good about that too, as long as you can play around potentially Karus as Ahri. But they will ban the Ahri themselves and might just put the Jinx right into Aiming's hands here.
Yeah, KT, I'm kind of hoping they don't get baited by the first pick Twisted Fate, and I think the Jinx is definitely a decent option. We've seen the Kai'Sa be a pick into it, but it's mainly the Hecarim that's really important for getting on top of the Jinx.
And that's why I was leaning towards the Jinx pick over things like the Twisted Fate, because you've already banned the Hecarim. That was a pretty big indicator, right, that they're going to go down this way. As HLE Esports going to take a page out of KT, out of DRX's book here.
Yeah, I don't know whether this is accurately representing what makes the Kai'Sa strong in the matchup, because I don't think it's necessarily the lane, right? You'll always outrange
and you don't,
as the Jinx.
You don't want to draft it this early, generally speaking, either, because you really give KT the opportunities to play around it. Like, oh, you're going to dive us? Okay, well, why don't I just get this Tahm Kench really early to make sure that's not going to be a problem for Aiming this game? Why don't we just play extremely safe and passive? This is going to be another different way of doing it.
Okay, well, the Renata Glass coming back in.
Maybe some bailouts here for when those dives come through.
Yeah, and also, Jinx kind of likes attack speed, I guess. So being able to give her an extra steroid is kind of fun.
Don't do this.
Of fun things.
Don't do this.
Polar Bear to come through. I like it. I'm all about it.
He's got a really high win rate here in the LCK, but he's usually played with a lot more tempo-based compositions and ones that have a little bit more ability to collapse with him, like Rise, like the Twisted Fate.
In the jungle matchup, though, Volibear does tear apart Xin Zhao in the early stages, so I kind of like that.
He also offers a lot when Kai'Sa ults in, so I mean, defensively later on in the game he gets a lot of value there. So it will be Karus to look like he's going to pick up the LeBlanc here blind, and they have opportunities to ban away some of those smaller counters. The Vex, that's actually pretty good with what KT are running, is another opportunity.
I really hope they ban Lissandra.
Lissandra is like super strong with this too.
I feel like also it fits into the composition really well. So yeah, just get rid of that. Yeah, there it
will. But it's also, you know, now you're drafting around this LeBlanc pick, and you really are going to have to make this work, because you're giving KT other options elsewhere. I could see a world where KT actually picked the Zillion here for Vikla in the mid lane. It's not really his play style per se, but could work out with this draft, because then you have so many ways that it's impossible to kill Aiming. And you have a really fast bear running at people.
Yeah, I like the idea of going for a little bit more of an initiation. That's why the Lissandra was so good, right? Because you can also initiate with the Claw to try and find options. They might be able to find something else that can do something similar. And Vikla could also just like head back to a Galio, theoretically.
Yeah, that's also a strong option here, as long as he doesn't get battered too much in lane. The Twisted Fate is what we were talking about, the super strong with the bear, but this composition doesn't rely on it because it has the follow-up, you know, late game of the Jinx, so you're not as priced into getting tempo advantages with something like a Twisted Fate. Now, if they do pick the Galio, we'll kind of scream that that's KT's plan, you know, no matter what, but I don't think that's the route that they're going to take.
I think Nautilus here makes a fair bit of sense for Vista.
I think so too. You're going to have a lot more safety with that.
Pike.
I mean, this is a lot of execute damage on top of LeBlanc's burst, Kai'Sa going for the ult. But
ooh, the oldie but a goodie in the good old Rakan and the Kai'Sa. This is something that Life and Ruler together made look extremely broken. I believe it was a couple of years ago. It was very, very strong.
Now, this is a lot of late game damage.
Circles.
And a lot of circles.
I don't
like this one as much, especially blind here like this. But we're gonna lock it in, and we're gonna look for.
Well, it's a zoo, Jinx and Renata's zoo with Vex there working and doing work experience, I think, at the zoo.
It's a pretty strong pick into the LeBlanc, but this draft is very disjointed in what its identity is and what it's trying to do. I think it's pretty easy to pick the Gwen here for Hanwha Esports. Does mean I don't think we'll be seeing Somdi's AP Kaisa with all the AP damage available, but that's okay. AD Kaisa still works very well with this composition. The KT's comp, I mean, there's a lot of power around the mid-game between Renata's ultimate, Renekton's power early, Vex's follow-up, the Fears. And if aiming just gets ahead, then he's just going to rule this game.
Yes.
He's going to have so much power, but I definitely think this is a draft I favor Hanwha Esports in. Nameplate's removed here. I think it's more well-rounded, has an identity, has strong side laning, has better late game, or I would argue, because Volibear is going to fall off. Vex is kind of, her power spikes are based on how well you're doing in the game, so she's going to be hurt by a Renekton that starts to fall off a little bit later on. The Volibear is going to fall off later on. So I'm a little bit worried about this game for KT going into it.
Yeah, this is all about, can the animals get us through to a great position in the mid-game, is I guess the question. And this is also Rascal's Renekton. He is very well known for being great at this champion. It was picked not necessarily for how it meshes in the draft, but more, this is Rascal, and he's very, very good at the Crocodile.
And we also know Rascal loved when Clid was playing the Volibear all the time when he was playing Renekton, so it's a duel he's very familiar with. It's a lane he likes to dominate.
Yep.
But it's against a Gwen, with a very, very aggressive Xin Zhao to kind of back it up. So not going to be as easy to pull off this time around in a meta like this.
And you can explain why he picked it. I don't think it actually redeems it. I don't think that it should have been big. Like, I'm actually still thinking that, honestly, like, just doing the same thing as last game and just picking, like, Camille Galio could have been fine. But I guess Camille Blind is less fun.
They also,
and Dudu could have gone towards something like a Jax, I guess. But
the Volibear made it really difficult to pivot, but they also looked like they were going to pivot into Gangplank Victor. And that would have been like, okay, well, now we're a late game comp, and Cuz can get these laners ahead, but they don't need to get ahead. And yes, the Volibear falls off, but you have a lot of late game scaling. You don't have that with the Renekton. With the Vex, you can have it. It depends on how the game goes, right? It's not a guarantee.
Shout out to Karis going for Mistletoe LeBlanc. This is my personal favorite skin on
It's a very
champion.
good one.
Very, very happy. As, okay. Bit of a just defensive start, and I think eyes are going to be glued to the top side of the map. I think there's going to be a lot on Rascal to make sure that he gets enough done in the early game. And speaking of early game, Vikla is going to get some vision onto Onfleek.
Yeah.
And early vision of the jungler, fantastic for Rascal, who wants to try and dominate this lane. It's going to be very difficult. The early laning phase of the Gwen, very, very strong. She gets to have Ignite. He does not.
Yep.
So this is going to have to be an out skill if it's going to happen. And I just don't know whether Renekton's even equipped to deal with the Gwen until she's been booped with the Nerf bat.
It's Rascal, it's Rascal really just making a statement, I think, in this draft. And he's hoping that Cuz can pull a Clid here and they can actually make this happen. But again, that was often something we'd see into a top laner that cannot survive and is very weak in the early parts, or very fragile like a Gnar, where you'd find this type of advantage. Yep. It feels so KT, this draft. Like, it's aiming on a late game carry, and then the top duo is on very aggressive, trying to control the game.
One thing that is very, very cool is that the lore on the bottom side of the map, being very Zorn-based, is pretty cool for KT.
That chest.
You have to realize that, the Jinx Renata vibes definitely do fit this, like, the story very well.
Yeah.
That must give you a gameplay advantage.
Sure.
What do you think?
I mean, it definitely gives you a lot of bat chest.
It does. It does. Well, now that you're saying it, I imagine that that's what the chat looks like almost.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to tell chat what to do sometimes.
Yeah.
A little bit more subtly.
When you're giving them an opportunity to bat some chest, they're going to be pretty excited about it, I imagine.
For sure. And
I like to support what you guys like.
I'm just a big fan of the bat chest these days. Like, I'm kind of getting into it a little bit.
Yeah, well, Vista's going to get into it a little bit himself, as in the mid lane, a little bit more of an engage, as Vikla is going to find a fear onto Onfleek, but yeah, he's still going to die. Onfleek did have to flash. Vikla did hold on to his, but still, great start for Hanwha Esports. And I think that the feedback they got from the coaching staff was, do more stuff in beginning of game, please.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, all right.
I'm seeing a trend of Xin Zhao being very strong in the early game and finding successful ganks pre-6. And it's working out very well. Now, Volibear can do the same. But in this lane, even though they have Prio down here, he's not going to be able to find too much unless
Is he going to walk up and just go for a dive?
I think so. I think that's what Cuz does on this champion.
That is, well, they are going to at least get themselves a plate as Ward goes down. Cuz spots the fact that OnFleek is in the area and he vacates.
It's the volley bear, like a little circle that he puts on the ground, you know, that he's like, I'm just going to help push this through for you guys. I'm here to give you a little bit more shove.
Well, Cuz does give away the Rift Scuttler on the bottom side. So certainly not exactly great use of his time, and he might get punished. Top side of the map now going to get cleared by OnFleek as there's a handshake onto Vikla.
It's the duality of Cuz, you know, it really just is.
Yeah.
One game he's fantastic, picks up 6 of the votes, and yes, we're still in the early parts, he definitely could turn this around, but not the greatest start in this one so far as OnFleek has a really nice play here. Flash there.
It was a little bit of a confusing observer bug there, but he did flash in order to get the auto, as Karis is going to defensively distort, and as you can see, it is going to be that double scuttle. So
double scuttle is always...
A volley bear getting double scuttled when he's picked into a Xin Zhao so that he can be stronger is definitely bad news for Bears. As Karis is going to get stunned up, as that is a really nice placement of the Storm Surge, and chooses the right target, but still makes it underneath.
Yeah, no flash used here for Karis either. Still, it's a nice gank from Cuz, still successful, but...
Storm Surge is not the name of that ability. I always remember. I always forget it. It's like Sky Strike or Storm Strike, something like that.
Yeah, it's probably some Sky Demons and stuff.
He's got some Sky stuff. It's a bit of a Sky vibe. As the Ignite is down here, Dudu might just die as Rascal, picks up that kill. OnFleek comes in and says, what the heck just happened to my top laner? As Rascal doesn't have his stun back up just yet. The Ruthless Predator now off cooldown, and OnFleek's like, well, I guess I can't do anything. So that's another solo kill.
Just put his win rate up.
Is that 24? Is that 24 now for Rascal?
Just put his win rate up right away as well. I love it. Right at the timing where he ends up outplaying here. Grabs a kill, hits level 6, has his dominance, and with Conqueror, and level 4 being the experience level here for OnFleek, he dies if he actually stays there. So Rascal doesn't even flash, by the way, and is just going to teleport back to lane with a nice advantage.
Yeah, here on the bottom side, a little bit more of a battle going on, mainly between the Rakan and Renata. And Aiden trying to get some autos through here, but Rakan's just going to go home, and Samdi is going to have to respect as the Rakan was warded. As aiming and live continue to press up, and this is just going to get way worse now.
Yeah, Iron Spike Whip just going to add a little bit of extra damage. He could trade so aggressively in moments like this. With his boots online here too, he could chase better, he could threaten Dudu more. He's got so much extra mobility. And this is the skill matchup we were talking about, and Rascal pulls it off without Cuz's help. Like, he actually ends up getting the kill 1v2, hits 6, and now has got complete control of this lane. So, you know, we were a little bit worried about it. It was 0-2 on the champion before this moment, but it still is Rascal at the end of the day. And yes, he is against one of our top 3 solo killers in Dudu, but he's number 1. And he gets the kill 1v2 and now has such an inherent advantage. We watch this one more time. Does not have 6 for this moment, nor does he have vision of OnFleek, I don't believe, and just ends up trading this one out. Dudu doesn't have full stacks, goes in, procs his Conqueror, has the Ignite, ticking on him, and it doesn't matter. And then OnFleek's like, I got this. Nah. Q gets the heal,
and Rascal, like, as soon as that Ruthless Predator comes back up again, he's like, all right, well, here's my double kill. And OnFleek's like, okay, I'm frightened now. And gets himself out. So really nicely played, but also a little bit of a whoopsie there from Dudu. He didn't need to try and bait quite that hard, because if you pressure Rascal out of that situation, then you're feeling absolutely fantastic. But now Dudu doesn't have Ignite in the matchup. There was no flash already, and Rascal did not have to invest anything in order to grab that. As you can see, 20 CS up now.
Notice.
Oh, plate gold not going to the Crocodile, though. So that's a whoopsie.
Some coins spilled on the ground. Some Rift man who's a little bit down on his luck might go pick those up later. So
yeah, exactly. I'm imagining, like, you know, Batman Begins, where like Bruce Wayne gives him his coat. He's like, "That's a nice coat." You know, it's like someone's gonna find the coins on the ground from the plates. They're like, "Oh, it's a nice IKEA property." It's very,
yeah.
You know, that's what I'm seeing. I don't know what that accent was.
Yeah, I was like a little bit confused. Yeah, but it was an Atlas accent.
Yeah, it's an Atlas situation.
I did want to point out also, Cuz has a really high win rate on the Volibear, even though he hasn't played it this season, so if you're not as familiar with this player, this is a champion he loves to play. It's often target banned against him in comps like this, like the Rek'Sai we saw earlier, because he likes to snowball the jungle.
Yep. He hasn't been able to do that.
Not this game, not this game so far, but you know, he's got a lot more time left. You know, I mean, he's Volibear, so it's not a ton of time, but there's still more opportunities. And Rascal's just trying to win this one by himself.
Yeah, Vikla doesn't quite have the fear available as Cuz is rolling on in. Karis moves out of the way. Distortion's pretty powerful, and now it's Rascal catching some waves underneath this turret. Dudu's heading back towards that top side as Aiming's going to shove out this wave. And Rascal going to respect the fact that OnFleek is likely in the area. And is now just going to rotate up. Like, well, I guess we're giving this one away.
Yeah, they have Rift Herald on the top, though, so this is going to be a win for KT Rolster. They might even get a charge on that inner.
Yeah, it's a huge trade up.
Yeah, like...
And look at this as well. I love this from Rascal. He's like immediately identifies that being in the bottom lane is something he's not allowed to do.
Just going to take the jungle.
Yeah, and that's going to deny any sort of clear from OnFleek to try and get himself an advantage. Meanwhile, they managed to lock down this. Shirley is busy smacking the wall over there, but she will come back and look for this inner turret as well. And you can see, really behind the play is HLE Esports. Rascal notices that there are only 2 minions with barely any health.
I think they
can. Yeah, this is definitely this.
There's just no answer here for HLE Esports. Karis does not have teleport to come up to this turret and defend, and he's getting pushed in, and this is not a trade up at all for HLE Esports, as you said. And the farm that's lost here is on to Dudu, and he really desperately needs it because Rascal doesn't need it as much, still has a CS lead, still is able to catch that wave, has that early kill. So he's actually holding on to a lot of significant gold right now. I love the Executioner's Calling. He picks up here second into the Gwen. Oh, this is just such a fantastic game for Rascal. Again, KT Rolster playing the better macro play here. Having that faster lane swap, and HLE Esports just really getting caught off guard by this.
And it's also like, what I really like is its identification of what your draft gives you the ability to do, right? And last game, we saw a Karma support not really do too much, but having a range advantage on the bottom side of the map gives you more than just lane pressure, especially when you're talking about Karma, who does have all that pushing power as well. But if you just have ranged auto attacks, starting a sieging opportunity earlier in the game is so much more possible.
Yep.
And this is something that we used to see utilized all the time, but now because there's so much engage put into the support role, we see it less and less and less, and Life identifies that, you know, he was one of our old, you know, Enchanter support aficionados and is now utilizing the Renata very, very well. I mean, I know it's just like she has ranged auto attack, I can hit turret from further away, but it works already.
She helps push minions, she's very good at it. A little bit of AoE with her rockets, and so, yeah, I mean, it's a good point you raise, and they were ahead of the play. Like, they planned it out way ahead, which means that this is something that's practiced for KT. Yeah. Which is something we say a lot about comps for KT that we're not sure about, and we're always like, I don't feel great about this. You know, I think HLE Esports more well-rounded. Then you see how KT pulls the comp off, and you could tell they've been scrimming this. They've been practicing this style of play, you know, quite significantly, and it's working out for them. And the push here on the top side means Rascal has this lane super wide open, is going to have a lot of power on the top side for deep vision.
And their homework has been done. Like you were saying, that deep vision is there for the Crocodile as well as OnFleek pops over the wall, and Aiming's just happily throwing out zaps in front of 3 people. And they have the lead. They
have one Drake here, but can they even grab the second is the real question, because Renekton having so much power in the rotation and the collapse here, the sandwich.
I mean, I'm all about spoilers today. Gave away Batman. Batman Begins from like 20 years ago. The spoiler here is that KT get the Drake.
Yeah, I just don't think you can really contest this as HLE Esports, unfortunately. You're too far behind on the map, as Dudu takes an opportunity to push up towards the turret, but as soon as KT identified that there's not going to be a fight for this, Rascal's already coming back up there. I don't think he'll be able to get a plate. And Vikla does have teleport, so if he tries to force anything, you actually die as Dudu here. But he won't. He's just going to push this in, and then once Rascal shows up, he'll back away. But he doesn't gain anything from this, you know?
Yep. Vikla as well has been able to keep up in farm even after falling down for that first blood. We have to remember that HLE Esports did get off to a better start this time around. It just has been answered very nicely. I think the whole Rift Herald passage of play was so well orchestrated behind an identification of what your draft is good at. And I just love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. As Unfleek's back's going to get stopped by a big old rocket.
Very annoying, but very successful. As once again, pings down here for Gwen, going, oh, I'm going to have to go clean up this Rascal mess on the top side. And Aiming is just catching waves here. He doesn't have any kills or assists, but picked up a lot of that gold on the top side of the map early on, so is feeling very comfortable with his position right now into a Kaisa who doesn't have a tempo advantage to try to continue to execute on people. He's down a level right now, at least temporarily here, and it's really feeling like HLE Esports' win conditions are going to be around Karis in this game. Like, he's going to have to find a pick, he's going to have to catch the enemy jungler, catch the enemy AD carry in the jungle. It's tough to do without vision control, but the lead that KT has in that regard isn't permanent per se.
Yep. I really like the fact that Life and Aiming have really coordinated their skins as well, because this is the most Zorn Jinx skin. Actually, a bit of an underrated Jinx skin, I'm not going to lie. A bit of a fan of it. And, you know, being able to now play with the new Zorn character as a far more Zorn-esque skin. Just love to see it. I think he would have been tempted to take the Arcane skin, but I think he's absolutely made the right choice.
Going all in on the theme,
yeah,
you know?
Very, very cool.
It's not Powder there, that's Jinx.
Yeah, that is.
Game.
It is definitely Jinx. And that way, they can team up more effectively because their ideals are in line. Man, absolutely fantastic. Hopefully that got us some bat chests in the chat.
Oh, I know it did, for sure. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, right now, Rift Herald's up. And HLE Esports are in a position where they really want to fight for this. They do not have control of the top wave. But, I mean, you've got to be so decisive here because guess who's pushing bottom? It's Rascal, and he can teleport in at any moment.
This one Cuz to ult into the middle of this one. He is going to throw down a little bit of damage there with the E, but otherwise hasn't started anything up as Rascal's booking it. They really want to get in here. That is a precast, and the Dominus is going to say go. That is a very dead Rakan. He couldn't get anything done there at all as Cuz uses his ult defensively, but that was the right choice. Dudu not immune this game as Samdi's trying to do some funny business. Does ult and flash to get away, but if you're just trying to get away, it's not going to give you enough.
Nope.
Dudu does manage to get the eye, but that is all they'll be able to pick up and say about that one.
Yeah, and he's dead too, so not going to be putting it down anywhere relevant anytime soon, as this was the right call to go to Rift Herald as HLE Esports, also with the Gwen pushing top side, yes, Rascal's bottom side. But as Hanwha, you come here, you look for a start, you look for a fight, but you do not start this. Especially with everybody positioned in the pit into a Renata ultimate, also massive value here on the Renekton. And Rascal's like, thank you very much. I actually just did way more damage than I had any right to do in a team fight like this. Oh, the setup here for HLE Esports was so poor. The idea was correct to try to force the fight with the comp they have. And, you know, if KT was like, well, we'll just push bottom, then Gwen gets a push top, and they'll trade a turret at least. So it's not like the end of the world. But to start that one up like that, it almost looked like they wanted to get away with getting the Herald and not force the fight. So maybe they weren't on the right page. But
yeah,
either way, this was a disaster.
I think a lot of people would say that, like, it's difficult for KT's comp to make a play like that. But I really like the identification of the fact that you have Volibear Renekton. You want to go for fights like this, and with the fact that Rascal is so much of their money, they get him in there with his Dominus running, and they play around that, and things are just going to go better. So
yeah, HLE Esports
nicely
just
played from KT.
They softballed him this fight, you know, like, and then KT are like, well, this is exactly what we want, and then they just smash it.
Yeah.
Looking very good here, looking very confident for Rascal to maybe even get a double POG this game with his start so far.
It's looking good for it so far, especially after that early play where he's just got a million solo kills. Shirley pops down very early in this one, rhyme unintended. And she is going to look for the charge and not going to get it, as that's a great fear onto Dudu. Everfrost comes through, but just barely misses the back of the dress there. As Rascal's trying to get forward, there's another Dominus as the Shadow Surge will connect. It's a double kill already for Aiming, and I have a feeling this game is really fallen by the wayside as Vikla looks for another fear and isn't going to quite find it. Isn't going to die either as Karis doesn't quite have enough damage.
Life just going to give him some extra shielding there, and he is A-okay. Almost pulls off the snipe as well, because the Shadow Surge recast there was actually pretty fantastic after getting that first takedown.
Yep.
And the fact that he's able to hit Karis is more impressive than what happened after that. But, man, yeah, I think we could stamp this game as over on the front page of this one.
Yeah, that's what it says in the Daily Prophet. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's moving images, you know. And you know, Sirius Black has been caught. He's back in Azkaban.
It's just an image of Rascal on his solo POG. With I guess it's Subin today. You know, it's just the two of them.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're doing remote interviews now, so. I lie. It wouldn't look like that. That's not what the future holds. But you know what? It's the idea that counts. Is this engagement from Vikla is just really nice, and he has Rascal on the flank angle, and he's just like, oh, I'll take my opportunity to ult in. Look at it, right onto Somdi, the 80 carry, instantly dead because there's also a follow-up Jinx rocket from aiming.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. Oh, the 80 carry is dead. Well, there's no hope here. Unfleek's already like, well, I'm starting red buff. I'm just conceding the point. And let's watch this one more time here from Vikla's perspective. He's like, I'm going.
And everybody goes with him. Absolutely fantastic. Finds the blind. Ulti as well.
Man, he is chewing that gun real fast, it looks like, as well on the player cam. I don't know what if he was or if he was just talking.
That's actually
really
how you get your APM up.
Yeah.
It's all about the rhythm.
Speed talking or speed chewing, I don't know what that was, but his mouth is moving real fast in that moment. Yeah, well, we're going to watch Final Life Esports crumble.
So sad. Unfleek moves in, he's like, I am threatening, and KT are like, what? They didn't notice.
KT are like, I'll kill you if you take one step closer, and Unfleek was like, you know what, I will appreciate my KDA. You know what, I will just take these wolves instead.
Baron's up in 25 seconds, and KT might just go over there.
Oh, I think so. I mean, look at how fed Jinx is. She got her Runa in second because
she's the Hurricane.
She's just so ahead, and there's so much AoE damage between the Renekton and the
also, like, all of Hanwha wants to dive on top of her, so you may as well, like, kill both the, like, all of, like, the Gwen, the Kai'Sa, and the Rakan at the same time, and maybe Karis as well if he also gets in there.
It's crazy too. He's got a stopwatch, so he has never really at any risk. And honestly, like, the sad thing about aiming this game is he won't get to do that much damage in most of these fights just simply because the follow-up rockets, like the ult from him is all he really does. The damage has already been done. Like, they're already dead before he gets there.
That's some first world problems right there. It's like, oh no, they're all dead when I shoot out my rocket. I don't get to use my cool bow and arrow thing.
And all of his like his damage number at the end of the game is just not going to reflect how good of a game he's had.
Yeah, he definitely. He should make a complaint to HR about that, I think.
To HR.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like my incredible amount of success isn't being recognized effectively.
And I feel like my teammates are really just making me look bad by playing so well, and all I can do is, you know, cherry on top the Rockets. I mean, I've got 3 kills and 2 assists, but it's just not enough for me.
I feel like we're putting words in Aiming's mouth here that are undeserved.
No,
definitely not what Aiming is saying. It's what we feel about this Jinx.
He's just, I mean, he's got a free game ahead of him. He's got a 500 gold bounty, and he is ready to shoot people who are engaged upon by Cuz and Vikla.
And Rascal has a chainsword and a stopwatch. He is just very happy with how things are going.
He's very steampunk.
Yeah, he's like a Chaos Space Marine, something like that. Just feeling very, very good. As now Rascal is pushing on the bottom side. Dudu does have his Ignite at the ready, but not very many items, as Life is going to spot him. Gwen is immune, but how immune is kind of the question here, as he gets his hand shaken and will just lose his turret. That was the agreement that was being made there between Life and Dudu. They shake hands, they agree that this turret doesn't belong on Summoner's Rift anymore and will be removed.
Yep, it's gone. And then who else is gone? It might be Vista here.
Yeah, he's going to get scared, but he does manage to grand exit.
Because it's like, okay, I'll just kill the mini wolf instead. Yeah, good luck with that one, Samdi. I don't think you were pressing the R button on any of these long-distance void shots here this game around. He's got his Phantom Dancer now, so if he can live more than 1 second in the team fight, he will get some value out of that, but I don't know if that's going to be the case in any subsequent team fights based on what we saw last time. But
is that the requirement? Like, live more than 1 second, please?
Yeah.
Samdi's like, oh, I reckon I can almost do it.
If he hits 2 autos,
real tough.
If he hits 2 autos, man, he'll proc that passive and start to really go a little bit faster and pass through units. And
yep.
Spectral waltz his way to a loss, unfortunately. Like, this game is well and truly done. 7,000. I didn't realize the gold lead was as big as it was because it's only a 7-kill game, but yeah. 6.6 thousand. Gold lead here.
It's a big one, especially for 23 minutes into this game, which is why we've sort of devolved into some weird conversation here, because when you say that it's over at about 15 minutes and it continues to be just as over as the game goes on, it gets tough. As now OnFleek's going to get caught out of position. He ults to try and keep himself alive. I just don't think it's going to work. The zap not quite there. Super Mega Death Rocket will seal the deal. Rascal now looking for the flank. Dudu is going to go golden. That is going to delay the inevitable, as it's actually aiming that grabs that kill. It's a double here for the Jinx, who actually got some autos off. So cancel that appointment with HR, as KT now going to push down that mid lane.
Yeah, Rascal a bit of a later flash here, not able to actually stop the escape from Samdi, who did flash, had to cleanse as well and ult his way out of here. But now you've got ultimate control over this Mountain Soul. And I mean, you know, as KT here, it's Mountain Soul point, but you just don't even care. Like, this is just a formality at this point. You're like, well, I will take the Drake so that they don't come over here and get that bounty, because this is just not that significant. Because, like, I'm being facetious, but man, is it dire here.
Yeah. It's a toughie to analyze at this stage, because this is wallets that really should not be this powerful at this point in the game. I like that the zap lands and Amy's like, oh, what, he's still immune? This is frustrating. There's so much immunity. Throws a gigantic rocket at him.
Yeah, and I mean, Samdi cleanses really well here and has to flash to get over the wall, as Rascal didn't get him before that, so they can't chase any further. Yeah, this situation is so dire, you should just open a new tab, listen to Dire Docs, make yourself feel better if you're a Hana Life esports fan. Just mute us. We don't have anything else to say about this game.
No, don't say that. We got heaps of things to say. We can even sing Dire Docs to you. And we've got it. It's absolutely fine. Any other song as well, just let us know. As long as it's, you know, from the early Nintendo 64 era of video games, we can do that. We can definitely do that. I want some Bubble Gloop Swamp. We can do Bubble Gloop Swamp.
Okay, hold on.
Vikla, yeah, might actually find something here, as he's doing a lot of damage to Vista. Goes golden at full health, and Rascal turns up. It was 3 versus 1, but now it's 3 versus 5. It's completely unfair. Dudu goes golden with his Zhonya's. He tries to snip aiming, but aiming's just going to throw bullets at him. And now KT demonstrating that, yeah, there's just no hope for Hanwha Life Esports.
This is the part of the song that's like dun 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 dun. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's not Hanwha Life Esports' day.
Yeah, no. The drafting here for KT is definitely not without its holes and its issues, but we mentioned it, you said it first, you know, this is a skill thing for Rascal. If he pulls it off, it can be a good comp, and he did.
Vikla got caught, by the way.
Yeah, quote unquote, as he's like stopwatch, and
Look at
Rascal's
how fast
here.
that bear was! He was bailed out, actually he was bailed in!
Yeah, and Dudu is just trying to buy time here so that maybe KT can't actually end after their attempted dive onto, or not dive, but party bush. Oh, he knows. They actually knew.
They knew this whole time?
Wow.
Oh, if I had have seen the W go off in the brush, the E go off in the brush, I would have known too, but I didn't.
Yeah, well, you know, we didn't have that information, but they just gave it to us now as Vikla's popping off.
Super sick, actually. The fact that that is an orchestrated play makes it even cooler, and it was already cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, in some ways, I feel like it would have been like cooler if it wasn't orchestrated, because it's like, damn, they were just all like ready to collapse on that. I don't know. I guess both ways could be good.
Yep. I mean, if they're just up there for no reason, though, it makes it kind of less cool. I don't know. It's like this sort of like there's multiple.
It's more impressive, but less cool, maybe. Yeah.
Well, Super Mega Death Rocket will just say, "Why are you guys here?" And they say, because there's the bounty on this turret and we want to get something, as the Baron is going to allow KT to take down this inhibitor turret. And so the trade, I wouldn't say, is up for Hanwha Life Esports. However, getting stuff when you're this far behind, it's 10,000 gold at 27 minutes, guys. What do you want from Hanwha Life? Is Vista looking for a bit of a flank?
The biggest flank of all time.
This is a brave Rakan walking on vision. He knows that it's there. As, yep, the storm will land, and he gets a battle dance onto his teammates, and we'll be able to make it out. But that was just sort of a mission for Vista, and not much is going to come from it.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time. Oh, no.
Yeah, there were some exclamation marks above his head there, I think.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, he made the attempt. You don't have any options as Hanwha Life Esports. We don't have surrenders in the LCK, so.
True. Loyalty program comes down. That's going to shield up Vikla just a little bit. Samdi ulted. I think As it's another decent fish. Shadow Surge did actually land there. So let's see whether Vikla actually decides to go back in. The turret is turned off as the Jinx is taken down. So now KT might have to back away. That was overly excited. Sunday wishes he still had that ult.
Yeah, and if they had maybe been able to pull off the bailout there, then aiming comes back to life, but it doesn't happen. You know, he hit it, like Life actually was able to put it on him, but they weren't able to get a kill, so.
Maybe it was because Harmor didn't kill him in time or something like that. It made the timing weird, because maybe that's what they were going for.
It's very tricky, but at the end of the day here, this is a really...
It's like KT kind of outplayed themselves, if that's actually what happened.
Yeah, let's see, because Vikla's at the back doing a lot of damage here.
Really nice quickness.
Stopwatch is really good. Yeah, they just don't get to kill fast enough as he ticks down extremely quickly.
Yep.
Burst, and KT is still in firm control of this game, but they will actually have to struggle for prio here on what would have been their soul if they had the advantage here.
Well, Jinx is going to make her way over. A Super Mega Death Rocket should be able to come in first, and they have a lot of vision. Russell also has about as many items as he wants.
No ults for KT either, really, across the board outside of the rocket.
Yeah. Almost have... Okay, never mind. KT not going to be able to find their soul. Shadow Surge will come forward, though, as Vikla looking to lock down Cuz. He does have his ult available and does go immune for a little while, and it is going to be the bailout utilized onto the Crocodile, but it's just not enough. The Renata locks down the kill onto the Gwen, but it doesn't get the revive in time. Cuz now in trouble as well, as the Killer Instinct will come through now for Samdi. Life and Cuz now trying to fight this one off, but aiming is once again just dead. Have KT thrown this game? Like, what the heck? What is going on?
They're definitely having some fun here, but I don't think they've thrown the game. I think they're still in firm control over it, but it's giving HLE Esports some opportunities.
It's so frustrating to Cuz here as well as Life. He will die as the chains will arm. And now Samdi will lock down another kill, and this is just not
to be
great.
To be fair, like they're killing the Nexus turrets with minions. I mean, they're not, but the minions are like they're
the minions have decided not to.
The minions are like, well, I will just follow my programming and walk down this lane and eventually try to kill the Nexus. And KT, if they win that fight, they win the game, and if they go even on it, they win the game. If they get aced and they don't go even, like if they get crushed in the fight as they kind of did, then they still have
like
they still have a massive
fights in a row. It's like 4 fights in a row, and then they lose the game.
That was just a really good one.
Yeah, really able to lock this one.
That's the most important part of this, because without the Jinx, you can't win this fight anymore. KT still try to force it because they're like, well, LeBlanc's not here, but he eventually.
The immunity circles, man, they were so valuable.
And they took out the Renekton. Now it's just a front-to-back angle here with no ult available for Vikla.
Yep.
Well, that was a weird angle suddenly. Still is.
No, it's pretty cool. It's just showing that the amount of berserk action that allowed all of the teammates to kill Gwen. Gwen, as it turned out, not immune.
Nope. She was just very angry, a little bit upset.
Yeah. Bit of hijinks to be thrown out there by Life, but also, as you can see as well, Harmor was still able to win the fight because there was no Jinx. And KT, they can't really afford to make mistakes like this, right? When...
I mean, yes, they can.
I mean, yes, they can.
They shouldn't do it, but they can afford to.
Yeah. Life is looking to try and grab Vista here, but he's not going to get engaged on.
Now, if they do it, like you said, like 3 more times and lose this and go to a game 3, they can't be affording that, because game score also matters for the potential miracle run to playoffs. So you definitely want to take that 2-0. It is going to be of the utmost importance.
Indeed. Well, Baron is now up, and that is going to give them an avenue in order to do that. And one of the things KT have afforded themselves is a plethora of control of the map. As now Harmor are going to come over and try and stop this. It's not going to work, as there is a Kraken Slayer Jinx, and she tears through that Baron extraordinarily quickly. And so now, once again, KT in some control, but that gold lead has certainly evaporated. It was 10,000, Wolf.
Yeah.
Now it's only 6.
It's, that's a 40% decrease.
Yeah, HLE Esports stocks on the rise.
But there's still, they still have so much money. They have so many items. They have a Renekton pushing down towards this inhib. Bottom inhibitor is open and just respawned.
Yeah.
Chorus, they need to make sure they don't get flanked, and once again, this time they don't know where Rakan's coming from.
Yeah, it's a good little fear onto OnFleek, but now he's going to turn himself around, try and come back in again. Vista trying to be the hero, as in goes Sunday into the back line, as it is going to be aiming, picking up the bailout this time. The bottom lane is destroyed, and now he's just popping off. He will be able to make this one work. Dudu going to go down as an afterthought, and KT, they get it right this time. They'll take down the top lane inhibitor, and they will move forward for the win. As Karis looks to try and get rid of life, but if everyone just groups around aiming, they should be able to protect him.
2-0 and 5. Karis did his best, man. He certainly tried. He had some heroic moments, but Rascal getting a massive lead.
Ooh, gets another one.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Rascal getting a massive lead in this game, snowballing things so beautifully, aiming having such great setup all game long to actually just press rockets and kill people. Yeah, I think Vikla will definitely get some votes here. I put mine in for Rascal because I thought he just dominated super hard, but Vikla played extremely well. Cuz had his moments on the volley bear through the mid game. It was a great team effort until very last crazy moments, but they still had such a lead that it was their game to throw away. And they will take the series